Hello, people of YouTube. It's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news for the 15th of February 2025. Sadly, no tutorial video this week. I ran out of time, unfortunately, during filming, so you'll need to wait until next week for your next exciting tutorial episode on the Apache. But we do still have a little bit of DCS news today. So, welcome to the stream, Tog. You are indeed the first. Tea Kettle Barbecue, Orleans Junkie, Hyena. Justin John, any talk on the new maybe promising Razbam news? That is, in fact, one of the things we're going to talk about today. So, stay strapped in for that one. Welcome to the stream, Mark S. Yes. And also, welcome to the stream, the one and only, but he's a bit poorly, John Bluer. Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. If I sound a bit husky and manly, it's not because I'm husky and manly, it's just because I'm ill.
Yes, exactly. It's how
Yeah,
he's achieved this great feat.
exactly. I was overwhelmed with testosterone, and then my voice just became this sort of delight to the senses. But no, it's just actually a flu.
Yes. Byron Farrow, welcome. Evening. Tog, Razbam dropped a Razbomb. Well, not exactly. I don't think it's actually all that exciting, but we are going to talk about it. It's definitely the first time in a while that we've actually heard something, so we were absolutely going to talk about it. Zathras, ahoy hoy. Orleans Junkie rolls one and goes to get popcorn. LJ, hello. Welcome to the stream. As always, we are monitoring chat, so feel free to post things into there and we will respond to it. And also, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Also, go to twitch.tv/John Bluer. And not what it was I called you last week. I don't remember what that was now.
I can't remember what it was now. It's something like John Blum or something. I can't remember.
Yes. So yeah, go to twitch.tv/John Bluer and do whatever it is you do on Twitch, because I don't really know. There's a button. Press the button.
It's follow, and then sub is the paid thing, whereas sub in YouTube is
Not paid,
follow
but
and then member.
memberships. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of memberships, there is Deep Hack's Ground Crew. If you want to join for a small monthly fee, hit that join button below this very video, and that would be most appreciated. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. Fans of Deep Hack Plays want to know when Tarkov. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Tog. I do need to get back in and do that kind of stuff. There's been a few that I've been thinking of doing. One of the things I'm thinking of doing as well, actually, is doing some commercial simulator flying, because I've been really getting into the Phoenix, the A320, A319, A321. That series is really good, and I just got myself Just Flight's Avro RJ Professional, and the last ever British airliner. And I'm really enjoying flying it. It's one of those aircraft, kind of like the Saab 340. It's one of those aircraft that's like a lovely mix of modern automation and old school twiddling your knobs and tracking your VORs. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, Stuart McLean, Eagle Wings, Mr. Yeti. Welcome everybody. So anyway, let's crack on and take a little bit of a look at the newsletter. We don't want to wait until poor John expires. Let's get through the news. And yeah, with regards to the newsletter, it's a little bit of a quiet one. Eagle Dynamics saw fit to call out the user files area. So that tells you how quiet it's been this week. If we're talking about that. Zathras here for the news. Also want to say big thanks for the vegan tutorials. I'm slowly working my way towards competency. The vegan's nice. The vegan's really nice. I like it. And Mr. Yeti enjoys twiddling knobs. And who doesn't? Honestly. So yeah, ED are drawing our attention to user files. If people don't know about user files, you absolutely should go check it out, because there's a bunch of fun stuff. Yeah, there's some really weird stuff if you look in the liveries. There's some really very interesting liveries in there, but then there's also some serious stuff too. And I don't know, like,
there's libraries that turn your like Mirage into like a waifu pillow and things like that, aren't they? Effectively, yeah.
yeah,
All sorts of stuff, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
nice. All kinds of weird stuff. I think there's, if I remember correctly, there's even like Ugandan knuckles and things like that. Like there's very interesting stuff in there.
Uh,
Tog, been watching Favigano play MFS. Didn't know they added driving and walking, but he did a cool drive through Area 51. Wonder if you could do the same for some interesting places. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, the walk round thing, we were talking about it either last week or the week before, John.
mm,
And I was saying that I hope this is a bit like the clouds in MSFS in that it prompts ED to add the same feature.
yeah.
Because, of course, ED were deeply shamed by the clouds when they added them to MSFS 2020.
Mm,
And this whole walking around and pulling the tags thing is kind of fun in 2024. Although a
yeah.
bunch of the aircraft are not updated for it yet, so you can only do it on certain ones.
Mm. It's little things I like. I was watching someone play MSFS the other day, and it was like, this is such a tiny thing, but I think it would just make a really big difference. Do you know when you jump into a mission in DCS, it literally does that thing where it like just suddenly just jolts in and it kind of wobbles a bit, and then you see the kind of textures kind of pop in, and then it kind of
Yes.
you're there. And I was like, what would I feel would be like a lot better, even on a multiplayer server, is like as you spawn in, it just like vignettes in or something, or like a black fade in. Does that make sense? Just something to kind of like sounds weird to smoothen that spawn so you don't just
Yes.
sort of just pop into the world. Because it made me jump a few times. It sounds
I
funny. Even though
Yeah.
you're staring at the screen, you kind of go, oh, you're in the jet. You're like, "Phew, Jesus Christ. So it just kind of ease you in. Sounds so silly, but it's just literally a fade in and with audio and visuals or something when it loads in, just to give you that second or two. It also probably look a bit better, so you don't, like you said, you don't. If you time that right, and even have a little loading or something, it just means that like you don't get that weird pop in. It kind of pulls you out for a second, doesn't it? But
mm,
just little touches. And like you said, the walk arounds and stuff like that, and like the ground crew that they're sort of flirting with, all that kind of stuff. But as in ED are flirting with, not you don't flirt with the ground crew. That
although
could
you
be
could.
great. I mean, you could totally throw that. Someone will mod that in. That's probably in the user files, but yeah.
You got the crew chief holding the cable for the ground power, and he's like, "Do you want me to put it in now?"
Yeah, and you're like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Actually, that would be kind of fun if they could simulate the ground power car and the crew chief. Like you start taxiing away and the cable goes taut, and then like whips his legs
Pops
out
off.
from under him, and he lands
Yeah.
on his head.
You just see him just staring like like that, just putting his arms out, going, "What are you doing?"
What the hell, man?
uh, little
that would be
touches, be great.
that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Commander Hen Party, evening. Interesting story. Good evening. Tog. By the way, that's not me advertising him, just saying, kind of cool you can do that. I've actually not heard of this particular person, but I'm sure their channel is good. You should go check it out. If they're doing MSFS, they must be all right.
Yeah.
B. Denson, good morning. A little late to the party. To Orleans Junkie, I think, was entertained by us. Well,
Yeah.
we do aim to entertain. Um,
See?
what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah. Again, if ED are calling out user files, then clearly they don't have that much to talk about. But you should absolutely go and check it out. There's a bunch of cool stuff in there. I'm not going to bother reading everything that they wrote about it because it's literally like how to find it on their website and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Which I don't think we need help with that.
It reminds me of, do you remember in the late 90s when PCs were coming a thing and you'd get like the bloatware that would be like
Yes.
Hewlett Packard, and it would be like, to use a mouse, press the left key, and then
Yeah.
to right click, prick the right key. You can drag things into the recycle bin. It's kind of, I'm getting those kind of vibes where you had that kind of like bloatware that would fire up when you fired the PC up.
Some
Yeah.
of them were really well produced as well. Like 'cause some of them were like full
Yeah.
motion video, and it would go full screen. It's like,
Mm.
welcome to the IBM ThinkPad
Yeah.
experience.
And it would like you'd go through like a warp drive and then like a wormhole, and then you come up the other end. You're like, oh, all right, it's dialing up to the internet. Bloody hell!
Yeah, yeah, it's good
Yeah,
stuff. David, 1966, my first live here. Love the content. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for your kind support. But yeah, we now have a development update for the LA7. It's been a little while. They have been rather quiet. on
Mm.
this one for a bit. But recent development efforts have focused on fine tuning the aircraft's distinctive flight model that captures the potent climb and maneuverability that made the LA 7 a fearsome World War II adversary. Work on the cockpit has advanced significantly, with an emphasis on historically accurate instruments and systems that reflect the era's engineering intricacies. Octopus G has also continued to refine the LA 7's damage model for an authentic representation of its strengths and vulnerabilities in combat, while dedicating careful attention to external and internal artwork for a truly immersive experience. We appreciate your patience and enthusiasm as this team moves forward to release, and we look forward to making it available later this year. Stay tuned for further LA 7 announcements. But no pictures, just this one.
There was
Those,
some bits on Instagram. All I did see was there was a stamp on one of them saying ED flight model approved. So it
huh.
seems like they've approved the flight model at least for the LA 7. So they're probably putting final touches on the
Yeah,
actual model
as I
itself.
understand it from things that developers have said in the past, that's something that happens quite late.
Yeah,
So yeah, if we've got the approved flight model, it may be coming out shortly.
yeah, I would imagine so. The only thing I find weird about the LA 7, I mean, it's fine, it's cool, and I'm glad that people are making all sorts of modules for all sorts of different people. But the issue you have with the LA 7 is you don't have a theatre to really fly it in. You know, I suppose the Caucasus can kind of be a placeholder for for Eastern Russia maybe, or West Eastern Europe, Western Russia. But there's not really a place to fly it over, is there? Really? I mean, you can kind of use some stuff maybe as placeholders, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's the only thing. Because it makes sense that they're doing the Corsair and the Hellcat and all that, because they've got the
For
Mariana
Pacific.
Pacific and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you obviously got Normandy, and you've got all the Mozzie and the Spitfires and the BF-109s and stuff. But yeah, that's the only tricky thing I kind of saw with this is that where do you fly it? Where does it fit into the ecosystem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never concerned myself too much with those kind of things.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like, just make all the aircraft and we'll make the
Yeah.
missions. We'll figure the other stuff out.
Yeah, yeah, and
Don't worry about that.
I mean, you have a good point. This could also, it's like chicken and egg. This could be the egg to the chicken. Maybe they release it, people love the module, someone else comes along and starts making a map, or we get a Stuka. I think go the guys making the Bow 105. Who are they again? Vortex.
I don't even remember. We've not heard that much from them.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think he said ages ago, the guy who runs it, he said he's wanted to do a
Miltech
Stuka.
5.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's wanted to do a Stuka, and he said that if he can do anything after the Bow 105, he wants to do a Stuka. Which would be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty cool aircraft.
Last big update I'm seeing for the BO 105 is like
Mm.
February last year. So it's
Yeah.
been a little while. Although they showed off some pictures, and
Mm.
it looks nice.
Yeah. Bow
Um,
105 would be great.
and I remember at one stage Razbam was involved, which I assume
Yeah.
they're not anymore. And they were showing off some like in cockpit video, and they were using some of the instruments and stuff. It looked
Mm.
kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, we've discussed this on the side, but the only issue I have a little bit of the Bow 105 is it's been in development now for 13 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, that originally started off because he was part of Polychop, if I remember rightly, and then he left Polychop. And then he went off and took the Bow 105 with him, and it's been in development now 13 years. And what concerns me is we've seen some like renders like this. It looks great, but it's still a render.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and
This is not in game.
yeah, we've not seen any in-game footage for a while. And the last I'd heard is he promised some in January, and there's still no. Well, we're now halfway through February. So that's the only thing a little bit worries me about the Bow 105.
Hmm.
And he does sort of post these very very interesting, very intricate. Every so often you get like a little update of some engine system or something, which is really cool. But again, no meat and potato to kind of get your teeth sunk into. So yeah, that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit of the Bow 105. But I'm sure it'd be great. I mean, if it is what you're saying it is, it sounds like it's going to have like almost every circuit breaker. Um, you know what do you call it, simulated and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Polychop style.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of Polychop, it said Pierre is asking, how is Polychop doing?
Mm,
Well, I think they're a little bit quiet right now. They're kind of in
mm.
maintenance mode, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this a little while ago. Obviously, I was I'm friends with quite a few people at Polychop, and I can't really go into details for both their sakes. Some stuff that's happened, but some stuff
Hmm.
did happen. And all I'd say is that it's not dead. Some people go, oh, it's dead. It's going to be like the Eagle or something. It's like no, no, no.
No, no, no.
That's
It's
fine.
it's very far from that, because the thing is, it's already kind of feature complete, or really
Yeah,
very much feature complete, whereas the Strike Eagle is
100%.
not. Or at
Yeah,
least it's
absolutely.
not feature complete based on what was promised. I guess you could call the Strike Eagle kind of feature complete for
Mm,
the early era.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, yeah, the Strike Eagle's not bad, but
yeah,
we're not likely to get all the things that were promised
yeah,
until things are resolved.
yeah,
Whereas the Kiowa, well, you even actually go all the way back to the Gazelle. The Gazelle was recently majorly refactored and is in a
mm,
very good state currently. The
mm,
Kiowa was basically delivered like so close to perfect that there
mm,
wasn't that much extra to be done, and
yeah,
it has already received updates, and
mm,
Polychop has committed to continuing to update it. So
yeah.
I don't really see the Polychop situation as being anything like the Razbam one.
No,
Um,
it's a false equivalency, and I can tell you all I can say to people is if people are worried about Polychop, because obviously well, that some stuff happened, is uh, the best way to look at it is you're probably going to get like essential bug fixes, essential, you know, minor updates, but it's not going anywhere. It's fine
mm,
as far as that's concerned. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, it's. I mean, also, yeah, like you said, the Polychop, the only things that weren't really completed or haven't been completed with the airframe are kind of extras that they've since added before they ever said what they were going to release it with, which was, remember rightly, it was the AI CPG, which you can totally fly it without, absolutely easily fly it about. In fact, it's I find it easier to target stuff and use the MMS and fly, especially with the not George, Barundus, whatever he's called, AI thing.
we'll just call it
Um,
AI
Barundus.
Barundus.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. AI Barundus. With that and your own targeting and stuff, you can easily use the Kiowa
Mm,
and target stuff. In fact, I'd say easier sometimes than the Apache. So whilst that would be nice, that was always an extra. And then not all long ago, they did the whole Echo 19 sound
yes.
overhaul, which is like night and day. Such a good, you know. And they did that for free. They just were like, here, it's actually part of the module. Here you go. So yeah, it's that's the only thing with it. But no, I think they're fine. Yeah, I can't go into details of little things, but there's been little murmurs and things, and I'm hoping that you know Polyshop are here to stay and everything's going to be all right. So
Mm,
it's a great module. I think it's one of the best helicopters in DCS, and in fact, I think 104th Maverick shares my same sentiment. If someone's getting into helicopters and they're they're looking to get their first helicopter, it's a really good first helicopter because it's such a rewarding flight model. It doesn't punish you too much too hard if you don't do the right things, and it does a bit of everything. Obviously, it doesn't do troop stuff, but it does a bit of everything. It's got a bit of air to air, bit of rockets, guns, hellfires. It's got all those sorts of things, and you've got some nice little tools to help you fly. So yeah.
you can
Anyway,
fire
sound like
your
a rant.
rifle. You can drop smoke grenades. You can do all
Yeah,
kinds of
yes,
mad
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. Apparently, I'd be curious to see if you've played around with it at some point, because you got VR. Apparently, using the M4 in VR is way easier. I'm a 2D pleb, so I've always just had to use the mouse to aim and stuff. But apparently, if you've got the what you got
Well,
the
then
hand
you
grip,
can actually use the iron sights.
yeah, it's actually really good. I've heard people, and you can actually lean out a bit and stuff, and you got a lot more degrees of motion. So I
Yeah.
was like, that's sick. That's the only reason I want to get a VR headset now.
Yeah, it's such a funny thing as well. Like the idea of firing your personal weapon out the side of a scout
Mm,
helicopter. I'm like, why would you do this?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I guess
But
so.
apparently they did. It was a
Yeah,
thing that was done.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not going to be doing that at Folder Gap,
Uh-huh.
but when it was originally being fielded for, the traditional, forward air controller kind of, artillery spotter, scout helicopter. But when it was being used in Afghanistan for coin ops and stuff, counterinsurgency, makes complete sense because sometimes you don't need to go in with the biggest gun. There's many stories I remember hearing where sometimes just them flying over and pointing an M4 was enough
Uh-huh.
to spook someone from planting an IED and running away. So that was enough. So yeah,
Yeah.
fascinating.
If it works, it's not stupid.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. On to the next story.
Mm.
We do have some Razbam news. This is coming courtesy of Stormbirds.blog, which is a very fine website for all of your simulation news. Razbam shows off a Mirage 2000D,
Mm.
offers glimmers of hope for ED resolution. They've missed a trick here because I'm an amazing headline writer. I would have said Razbam shows off the D, but
Yeah.
no, they didn't go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it would be Ron Zambrano shows the D.
Goes to show the D, but suffers from ED.
That's even better. I like it. I like it.
Mm.
So here we go. We've got posts from Metal to Mesh showing off an M2000D, which is, for those of you who don't know, is basically a C model, but with 2 seats and some additional air to ground capabilities. It gets some additional weapons that it can use in the air to ground
Kind of like a
mode.
strike eagle to a Charlie, isn't it? In a weird way, the D to the C.
Ah,
Do
a
you see
lot
a
a
bit of
lot
air to
less
ground?
capable, a lot less
Yeah,
capable than a
yeah,
strike eagle, but yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
yeah.
So yeah, on February 10th, Ron Zambrano shared a pair of new images on Twitter. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because I don't care for this new X name.
Yeah.
With the label Mirage 2000D, the company and Ron in particular has frequently shared work in progress images of all sorts of projects over the years. Some have come to fruition, while others have been more of a 3D modeling exercise. Anyone remember the BAE Lightning?
Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, he posted these up, and Metal to Mesh then later made a little announcement, and he says, this is me quoting Metal to Mesh as posted on the 12th of February. After long consideration, background doing this D model is opening up an accurate and detailed 3D model for all Mirage 2000 frames, including a C. As I know which areas to are shorten. This is me. I'm reading it exactly as he typed it. I think English is not his first language.
Mm.
Areas to shorten can easily be done. I feel as though I owe people who purchased the M2000C product something, if not everything. First, if there is an ED versus RB resolution, I am looking at, in the near future, approximately 6 months to a year, as I've not completed 3D modelling yet. Second, along with ED honouring its commitment to continue their obligations in the future, responsibility towards Razbam, brackets, future payments, I will update the exterior of the M2000C module with a newer one for you, our customers, who have enjoyed this fantastic aircraft, and it will be free of charge to customers. I do not give this easily, but my morals and my commitment to improving myself every day is something I do to retain my honour as a person. I will work out the details with Razbam so that as I leave DCS, I did not leave you behind.
Mm.
So this is a very nice statement.
Mm.
And yeah, the way I read this basically is, yeah, he's making a new model of the Mirage for another project, probably Microsoft Flight Simulator or Microprose. We don't really know. And he's offering to kind of backport his new work to DCS and give it to us for free, which
Yeah.
is very nice.
Hmm. I think was it Metal to Mesh that had a little bit of a tizzy, should I say? Was he the guy? Was one of their members, wasn't it, who got very upset when all this kicked off, and I think posted in Reddit. I don't want to say it was him. I just know that one of their team.
Well, he
Uh,
did post. I forget his exact wording, but he posted a thing basically saying, at one stage, I think he was saying he was done with flight simulation, and then
mm,
later he kind of narrowed it down and was like, "No, no, I'm just done with DCS. I will never work
yeah,
on DCS again."
yeah,
So yes, I think that might be accurate.
yeah. So I think if I remember rightly, okay, I could be totally wrong, chat. If I am, I apologize. So this is all allegedly, and this is all from as far as I remember. I think he had a little bit of a backlash because he got quite upset publicly,
Hmm.
and I think he upset some people because obviously, from a lot of people's perspective, I understand this. You know, they bought this module that they've been waiting forever for the Strike Eagle, and it comes out, and then everything goes to crap, and some people, and I think probably quite rightly, kind of hold Razbam and ED both responsible. They're like, look, you're both. It's a bit like two kids having a fight in the playground. You both very disappointed in both of you, kind of thing. And
Go and calm down.
yeah, go calm down. Go. Yeah. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
And so I think what happened was he got, if I remember rightly, I'm pretty sure it was him. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But he got a bit of backlash, and I think people were a bit pissed off because they're like, "Come on, like we spent all this money, we bought your model, and you're basically throwing your toys out the pram." Also, a little bit of like, this is probably not the best thing to be doing, publicly when there's all this stuff going on. Again, if it's not him and it's another member, I remember it was definitely someone from Razbam. If that is the case, then this message kind of makes sense because he's probably, it's like we were saying this just before the stream. Just so you know, guys, we kind of cross, we go over some of these subjects a little bit briefly,
We
just so you
talk
know,
about all of you.
talk about all of you, and we say how awful you all are. But
How much we like you very much.
yes, we definitely like you. But basically, we can basically, I said, it seems like there's a little bit more of a conciliatory tone, and also it seems like maybe cooler heads are starting to prevail now. What's the old term? Time's a healer,
Mm.
and it sounds like it's a little bit of a healer. So maybe he's looking back and going, "Oh, I feel a bit bad now, and I'm doing this work anyway." And I should probably give something back a little bit, and it's, again, like you said, if they're doing something for something else, if it's MSFS, they might be able to port this over. I think probably the external model is probably the easiest thing to port, wouldn't it be?
It is.
Once you got all your arguments for things like flaps and slats and stuff, if they're still the same and you're upgrading it and just making it more look nicer, it's
Mm.
probably not, in the big scheme of things, it's probably not the hardest work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very psyched about this, and we were saying before the stream began, we
Yeah.
both think that the Mirage currently looks great anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's a really horrible external model and it needs an update. It already
Mm.
looks great, and if he's offering to make it even better, then I'm really psyched about that. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell you what, if he I feel like I want to see if I can get his attention and be like, can you make the Harrier? Can you tidy up the Harrier, please?
Please, sir, can I have some more?
Please, can I have some more Harrier? Can you maybe stick an APG 68 on the front?
Oh yeah. Can we have a smooth nose, please?
Yeah, can we please have that? That would be lovely. Yeah, that would be nice. That's probably never going to happen, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Stone S, I've lost all faith in Eagle Dynamics.
yeah.
Well, to be fair and to add some balance, although I totally understand where you're coming from, like we really don't know. Like we've heard all the stories, but we don't really know who's in the right, who's in the wrong.
No,
I'm sure both of them are in the wrong to some degree,
yeah.
but yeah, we don't know the whole story.
If that,
Um,
that that chap, who was the guy you mentioned who mentioned you in his video, and he was getting quite upset about the F-15? He posted a video.
Sandbox Code.
Yeah, Sandbox Code. That was
Big
it.
shout out to him if he's watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've not watched that many of your videos. I watched that one and really enjoyed it. I thought you had some hot takes on the whole issue, and I thought it was really interesting to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
So if people are wondering what I'm talking about, Sandbox Code put a video out about the Strike Eagle not that long ago, where he was kind of mourning the current
yeah.
situation, and I thought it was very interesting. I enjoyed his
He,
video.
he was kind of going through the 6 stages of grief, wasn't he? In the
Yes,
video,
yes, he was.
he was bartering. It was grief. There was sadness, and then there was optimism at the end. He kind of went, and anger. And I actually commented on it as well, and I said, you know what? I think everyone can admit that the fact they're both sort of to blame, and it's miserable this happened in the first place. It's absolutely miserable. I mean, the fact, I remember us saying early on when it first all kicked off, I was like, why the bloody hell is this being all aired through social media?
Yeah.
They're popping off at each other. It's ridiculous.
And that was
You know,
Ron who did that. So
yeah, but they popped back. That was
yeah,
the interesting thing, wasn't it? It was just from Nick Gray directly. I've
yes.
never seen him put out something. He straight away was like, he put down his M&S microphone for his M&S adverts, picked up his gangster rap battle rap, his rap battle mic, and was like, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what for. And
He
yeah,
did that Chris Eubank switch where he went from posh to aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but full Chris Eubank. We should use that as a term for now. He went full Eubank, and but yeah, he they kind of popped off at each other. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. But if it makes Stone Essa feel any better when he said that I've lost all faith in Eagle Dynamics, that happens every time I crash in DCS. I say
Yeah.
that to myself. Oh, I just got hit by an SA-15. I've lost all faith in Eagle Dynamics.
Damn
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Interesting story. Ron said he wouldn't abandon the F-15 and then tried to use it for leverage against ED in the same breath. I'm not surprised. And actually,
yeah.
speaking of Ron, yeah, a little bit further down here, we did have this one from here.
Mm,
So apparently, Ron responded to a question about the F-15E and its future with the following message: "If everything gets solved," this is me quoting Ron Zambrano, "it's 100% guaranteed constant development." And
great.
I read that as if they start getting paid again, if
Yeah,
the money starts flowing again, then they will turn back on the development of the
mm,
Strike Eagle.
yeah,
And
yeah.
honestly, I believe him. I think
Yeah,
Ron, for whatever failings he may or may not have, he's a pretty straightforward guy. I feel, and
yeah.
I think if he says that, then he absolutely intends to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character, and, they may have announced, like, 18 modules
Mm.
of things that they were gonna do, which
Minimum.
were usually which was usually just like a material render in, like, Blender, but, they're like, "We're doing this next." But
It
yeah,
has, it has. It's a little bit unfortunate, and I don't mean to poke fun at Razbam because their modules are excellent, and I am actually a big
yeah,
Razbam fanboy. But
yeah,
it has become a joke in the industry, like, "Oh, Razbam have announced blah blah blah," and it's like, well, what haven't they announced? Like, rather than having a table of announced modules by Razbam, we should just have a list of what they haven't announced.
absolutely. It's like whenever you see that Razbam have announced a module, it's like when you see Katie Price is in the news again, you're like, "Oh, what's she done now?"
Oh dear.
She's
Yep.
running out of money again.
Mark S.
Yeah,
M2000 is the only Razbam module I have, so it works for me. Well, you
yeah,
have a good one because the
yeah,
M2000 is one of the best modules in the game.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
I did a series on it,
mm,
and I did my series on it after the major refactoring that they did after taking further feedback from Army de la Terre, no Army de l'Air. What am I talking about?
mm,
And it's amazing. Like I was because I'd flown it quite a bit at launch, and then hadn't touched it that much until I came back around to do my tutorial series. And by the
mm,
time I did my tutorial series, I was just amazed at what they'd implemented. Like the
mm,
radar is incredible. They
mm,
implemented the DTC. It's like one of the few aircraft in the game that has a working DTC.
mm,
ED, take note.
yeah,
It looks fantastic. Like even things like when you turn on the center display for the radar, it does that kind of CRT thing where it kind of goes whoa, and like the
yeah,
picture like grows
mm.
in the tube, and like it's beautiful.
It's
It's just
great.
such a good module.
You know what we I do want to take a moment sometimes because it's really easy to get a little bit hyperbolic and to get a little bit misanthropic about DCS, and I feel what Stone is saying in chat, right? And he kind of said this. He said, "I love DCS, don't get me wrong, but it's extremely disappointing what's going on." Right?
Yeah.
What's the old term? For every I can't remember what the term is, for every cynic, there's a tiny flame of an optimist
Mm.
still in there. That got kind of beaten down and beaten down. And I think you got to be very realistic with stuff. It's like I got in a conversation with someone the other day about dynamic campaign, and I
Mm.
think potentially it's game changer, and I think it's potentially the thing that can make the world bit of DCS world feel real, because that's the problem. It feels like a sandbox at the moment, and I think that fixes a bunch of issues. That said, when we first get the first iteration, do not hold your breath and it being something like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. It's probably going to look a lot like the BMS one, and it's going to be very basic and just straightforward and just basic stuff. And the only hope I have for the dynamic campaign is hopefully that they work with like the mission builders and server owners and give them the tools so that they can APIs and stuff, the tools that they can then fiddle around with it and make their servers what they are. I say one hope I have. It's not a big one, but it's a small one. But to get back to what I was going to say, I think you do have to take a step back sometimes and remember, like, for instance, Razbam. We rag on Razbam a bit, but their modules are like some of the best. You know, they are absolutely amazing
Yes.
and really, really good. I even remember as a buddy of mine who does skinning, like libraries and stuff, and he said that like all the Razbam stuff is like really well put together. Like it just makes sense. Like you open up the what do you call it, the DDS files, whatever, and it's just all there, and all the layers make sense, and it's really nice. And
Also,
it's
don't
really
don't
optimized.
forget that the M2000 was the first aircraft in the sim with fly by wire.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
they fully simulated fly by wire. They
Mm,
fully simulated air to air radar at a time when nobody else had done it.
mm,
Well, to that level.
yeah.
This is prior to the F-16. This is prior to the F-18.
Yeah.
They really they did amazing work. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And
really amazing work.
they did the NA because originally, if I remember rightly, they wanted to do the 2 plus, but there just wasn't the tech in ED at that stage, or sorry, in DCS to
Yes.
do a ground radar. You know, they could do the air side of it, could do the ground radar. So they're like, oh, we're going to hold off, do the NA, and then maybe come back to it. That was
Hmm.
always their plan. They wanted to do the 2 plus. Sadly, it probably won't ever happen. But yeah, Raspberry were great. And then to get back to DCS, like DCS sometimes it is weird. It's this sort of I would say love hate, but like you do fire up DCS sometimes, and you're like, wow. And then you'll fire up another time,
Hmm.
and you look at the model for like the MiG 23 or something. You'll just go, oh my god, it's like with PlayStation 1 graphics, you know. So yeah, you have both of those moments. It's the full gamut, but
Yeah.
yeah, you do have to kind of put things in perspective and stuff. But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, they take a while and they can sometimes overpromise and overhype. But I mean, look at the Strike Eagle; it still works.
It
It's
does.
been a year; it's just been sat there. It's been how many? I mean, you have to add up all the patches. It still works.
Hmm.
You know,
Same with the Harrier, and
same with
it's
the
been
Harrier.
even longer because the Harrier had barely been touched for about 3 years before
Yeah,
this situation even came up, and
mm,
the Harrier still works. And
still
there's,
works. Yeah,
you know, it has the odd strange behavior here and there, but to
mm.
be fair, it did prior,
Yeah,
like it
exactly.
always did. So it's exactly as good as it's always been.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And then they said what's shame was they said I remember them saying you remember this in the Discord. They were
they were
like
just about to do an overhaul.
just to do a massive overhaul, and it was me and you going, "Will we get a 2 plus? Oh, will we get a 2 plus?" And then we're like, everything goes wrong, and we're like, "No, we were this close. We were this close.
We almost got it.
We
Oh
almost
dear.
got it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arthur Van Ryn, do you think that they will develop patches but haven't released them? No, my understanding is that all development work was stopped because
Mm,
the developers who work for Razbam were not being paid anymore.
mm,
Um, because Razbam themselves were not being paid. So
yeah,
no, it's not like they've held stuff back. There is, my
yeah,
understanding is that there's no work been done.
yeah. There might be, I mean, the only thing I could say is that caveat, there might be a bit of work that they did between the last patch they put out and when they stopped working. It's just sort of sat there, like waiting to go. Maybe if it all got done, they might just go cool and just put that out as a hot fix or something, you know, or a
Hmm?
quick patch. But it's not going to be much. And then the problem is they were developing for a previous version of ED, you know, of DCS. You can't just push that out, can you? Because it's probably break something. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the only thing you might have. Because was it, if I remember rightly, I'd heard scuttlebutt again. I know we're a place of factual
Oh,
information.
everything we say is completely factual and,
100%
backed up by at
true.
least two sources.
At least 2 sources, which is me and you.
Yes.
Um, but scuttlebutt was that I think they had the lightning pod further along, but they were like they had to go for some reason. They went back and then did the light. Is it the lightning? No, lantern. But I think the lightning pod. Because there's 3 they were going to do. It was the lantern, the lightning, and the sniper.
Were they going to do
Um,
the sniper?
yeah, they
I
got a
thought the
sniper pod
sniper was
here.
just for the 16.
No, sniper. The F-15's got the sniper. Yeah. So there was going to be 2 tech CTUs they called them, chronological technology updates. So they're going to do
I loved that they were doing this as well. Like their
yeah.
whole approach to the Strike Eagle was really cool.
So yeah, so what it was we basically got like effectively like early 90s Strike Eagle right now.
Mhm.
We've got like a 91, 92 era sort of Strike Eagle. So we've got the analog UFC, looks like a pocket calculator kind of UFC. Because I don't know if you remember they were going to do a digital one as well.
Yes.
And they did. I remember they did a originally they did a what do you call it? A Q&A or something, didn't they? Or like a not a contest.
I
What do
think
you
there
call
was
it?
an FAQ detailing
The
this kind of stuff
FAQ,
as
yeah,
well.
like a poll, like what would you like to see? And I think they decided they're going to do both. But they said there was a CTU, and then CTU one was going to be, if I remember rightly, the Lightning Pod, the Digital UFC,
Mhm.
something else, and then the second CTU, which if I remember rightly, that was going to be the JHEMX, the what was the other thing? Oh God, JHEMX, AIM 9X, and Sniper. So that
Okay.
was what that was going to be, and it was going to kind of replicate the years that it got updated, which I think is actually cool. I prefer that because Heat Blur's kind of gone the other way around, haven't they? They've kind of gone backwards because obviously they're doing that BU, but they've sort of started with the B and then they did the A and then the A early. They were
That's
kind of
right.
doing it the other way around, but it was a cool process and stuff. But
I'm
yeah,
just I'm jumping into the forum to see if the FAQ is still there, but it actually looks like it's been taken down.
yeah. I know Not
Um,
So did one, didn't he? He put one up and he kind of put it all into one Word doc, if I remember rightly.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they're either gone or they're just not pinned anymore. I don't know
Mm,
which it is.
yeah.
Um, hmm,
It was
that's
cool.
unfortunate.
I left their Discord a while back because that just turned into like freaking Basra. So everything that happened with Raspberry D, I was just like, oh my god, everything just went to crap there. I just left that one. But
Hmm. I'm still in there, but to be fair, there really is not much posted of any interest in there. I just keep it in case the announcements show something interesting,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
haven't.
just put a notification on that and then leave the rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but no, I think yeah, it was a shame, but I you know I think we'll get. I as time actually has gone by, I could be wrong. I'm convinced there'll be some sort of solution, and I think again. Do you know my awful prediction of the Typhoon 2025 at the end of this year?
Which we're going to
my
hold you
my
to.
you should hold me to. Okay,
Yeah,
I've got a
yeah.
second prediction. I think that they will come to some sort of agreement. I think the Strike Eagle will get sorted in some way or another, and
It
I
kind of
think
has to.
yeah, and I think
Somehow this
then
has to be fixed.
I think you'll get a bit of what I call just like maintenance and stuff. But I think as far as anything new, ED and Razbam at that point will be separated. You know, Ron takes the kids. You
Hmm.
know, Eagle Dynamics takes the car and house, and they go their separate ways. And that's going to be my prediction. I'm leaning more towards that as time goes on. But I could say this literally next week. Ron could be like, "Screw ED, FM," and I look like an idiot, and then people will clip this endlessly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're going to play it on a loop.
Yeah,
Um, Going back to the news, we
yeah.
have another article from
Ooh,
Stormbirds.blog.
yeah.
Uh, now, actually, can you pronounce this for me? Because I've never known how to pronounce the manufacturer of the Jaguar.
Leopard.
Is it Sepicat? Okay.
That's what I thought it was.
I've never known, so I usually pronounce it differently each time I say it.
Yeah,
Let's go with Sepicat, Jaguar GR1. Now, they say GR1, but in fact, they're saying that it will, in fact, be a GR1A,
yeah.
which is very interesting.
Isn't that the one with the slightly better engines? They slapped some better engines in, didn't they?
I
The A one.
don't know if the A was because they had the problem is they had a variety of these projects. There was like Jaguar 95 and then there was Jaguar 97, if I
Mhm.
recall correctly, and then they translated into certain ones. I think Jaguar 95 became GR1A, and I think
Mm,
Jaguar 97 became GR3, but I don't.
yeah,
I'm not 100% sure, and I feel like it was GR3 that got the newer engines,
yeah.
but
Because I know,
I could be
yeah,
talking complete nonsense.
because they said it was so underpowered that it would they'd often have to go into burner
Yeah.
when refueling, didn't they? Or they'd have to go into a slight dive, like a 3 or 4 degree dive,
Yes.
so that they could keep up with the tanker. Because at like 20,000 feet, the thing would just struggle.
Because again, I'm working from memory here. I think the 1A got tiled, compatibility with tiled, and I think
Yeah,
it got the slightly upgraded navigational system, but it was
yeah,
still the analog Dead Reckoning one. It's not until
yeah,
the GR3 that you get INS.
yeah,
So it was improved, but not that much.
yeah,
Oh, and it got sidewinders.
yeah.
I think 1A
But the
got side
over
winders.
pylon ones, was it? The ones that the cool
Yeah, the
over
mad
wing
ones.
pylons. They were cool.
So anyway, the article from Stormbirds, a modding group calling themselves Skyforge Studios, has announced on DCS World Forums their intention and initial progress on building a Sipicat Jaguar GR1A. Uh, now, the thing I have to say is that these are the guys who did that little teaser video that just showed the silhouette, and that
Mhm.
was more than 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And they do in fact say in their post, like, they had to stop development, or like development kind of petered out, and
yeah,
this is them just announcing, hey, we're back on the case. So
yeah,
effectively nothing has happened, but they are now kind of reaffirming their dedication to this project, which I think is really exciting, but basically nothing's happened.
yeah. It's a weird one. I find it hard to get excited for a mod of an aircraft this involved because this is a lot of work. Like the what is it? The AH, you got the Cobra that's being worked on at the moment, and you
Mm,
got the AH6, whatever you call it, upgrade from the Loach to the Little Bird. Now they've done a lot of work already with the Loach, and then it makes sense that they move the Loach to the Little Bird. But comparatively speaking, in the bigger scheme of things, they're relatively straightforward aircraft, and I think the Cobra has been in development for at least 2 or 3 years. I mean, the Loach about the same.
mm,
These mods take a long time to do, and the only thing I'm a bit concerned about is it's a mod, and we're just seeing renders. And is there any information? Is it based off an FC3? You're going to need FC3 for it. What's the flight model based off? You see what I'm saying? It's just a bit like this is a lot, especially in an analog jet. I mean, of this
mm.
sort of type. It had quite a lot of, well, I say advanced systems, but advanced system. I mean, is it? Was this a Gen 3 or Gen 4? The Jag.
I really don't know what you would call
Yeah,
this. Yeah, I don't know.
3.5, isn't it? It's like a 3.5 kind of like Cold War 70s kind of era. So,
I'm going to
that's
very quickly check and see what Wikipedia says.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
um,
it's just a lot of. That's the only thing. I'm like, if this is, I mean, it's great. I'm all for the modding stuff. It's really really cool.
hmm.
And I wish them success. It's just are we going to see that anytime soon? And also, for a mod, that's a lot to chew off.
Yes.
A
Although,
jack.
just look at what the A4 team managed
Yeah,
to give us.
very true. Very very true. But weren't a fair amount of those guys like ex Heat Blur or Heat Blur part, on their spare
Oh, good
hours and
question.
stuff,
I
wasn't
don't
it?
even know.
If I remember
Um,
rightly.
yeah, it doesn't have a generation listed because it's a close air support aircraft. So like I
Yeah,
don't even know if the generations apply.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's a very very cool aircraft.
Oh god, yeah. And it would fit really well in the meta of things, if that makes sense, as far as like it fills a nice little role, which it would, you know. I think it's a kind of aircraft people would get and really enjoy as well. Like even if they didn't know anything about the Jag, they get the Jag and be like, oh, this is really cool.
The
It has
the,
a really
the
cool little role.
J.
The Jag. Did it have like I assume it would have had like CCR, CCIP and a few
Well,
gizmos, didn't it?
it had it's not the same system, but it had something that was roughly equivalent to angle rate bombing system.
Yeah, that's like a
So
little window on the nose, isn't it?
yeah, so
Yeah,
because of that, I don't know for certain, but I would have to assume that yes, it has all of those capabilities because
yeah,
it was doing all that sort of trigonometry stuff.
yeah, yeah.
B. Denson, do we know if Polychop is going to do a new project after the Kiowa Warrior?
Mm,
I'm going to speak for myself here. I would think that very unlikely.
mm,
Um, I would think that unless they have some kind of coming back together, because in the current
yeah,
situation, they're only really going to be able to support the Kiowa. I would
yeah.
think.
So if people don't know, this is kind of public knowledge. So pretty much everyone bar one person left Polychop.
Hmm.
Now, what I do know is that there are certain things in place to kind of keep it maintained, to put it that way. But I would say all bets are off for the moment with Polychop. think they need to sort things out themselves. That's for them to sort of decide what they want to do. And this is all public knowledge, so I'm not saying anything out of turn.
Mm.
But I would say we've just got the Kiowa, what, 6 months ago, 7 months
Yes.
ago, and even if they were working on something, it would be a long time before you get anything. But all I can say was I did know before all this stuff happened that they were looking to do something else. It just depends on if that's the case anymore now. So you
Yeah.
have to just wait and see, really.
But back to the Jaguar.
Yeah.
As per the article, we've been talking quite a bit about the Jaguar recently, with Azure Poly's in development payware project for MSFS taking shape and moving towards completion. Over on the DCS World side of things, there haven't been any officially announced payware modules. However, Skyforge Studios has taken it upon themselves to develop a mod for the sim. Now, yeah, to be clear, this is a community mod. This is not
Yeah.
a paid module. The
Yeah.
team are intending to do an RAF GR1A and are intending to build the mod as a standalone product rather than having it based on Flaming Cliffs. They
Fair
also
play.
intend to build a 3D model and a cockpit and make use of an EFM flight model. Some DCS World mods are good for a bit of fun, while others are more serious. The A4 Sky Raider community project, for example, remains a gold standard among DCS projects. And I
Wow.
would very much agree there. The A4, if you haven't flown the A4, it's free. There's no excuse. Go and download it now. No, wait, watch to the end of the DCS news.
Yeah. Wait until the end. Yeah.
Don't leave, not yet.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's all very, very cool. And I am psyched for it, but I have to say that this is a bit of a nothing burger, given that it's literally just them saying, hey, we're doing it again. We stopped for a while, but we're back on the case.
Yeah, here's a render, which is in the big scheme of things not, sadly the biggest like progress is the most boring stuff because it's all code.
Yeah,
It's not something you can really see much of. Like we haven't heard anything about the A7 for a while,
that's true.
and
That's true.
there's a couple other things we haven't heard much of. And then the Tornado, there was like a screenshot of it, wasn't it, with that cool bomblet dispenser. But that if anything, like no news is good news. That means they're probably like deep in the weeds, with like modeling and EFMs and stuff like that. And then you've got the what's the other one? The Super Saber. Um, Super Saber, I don't think is that far
Yeah,
away because if you looked at their progress tracker, the code was further along than the art. And I would always say that the art comes together quicker than code, I would imagine. You can tweak art and you can always throw things to not you need to look great out the box, but you know what I mean. You can always tweak that, but like the code needs to be there. If
oh
no
yeah.
good code, it doesn't run. So they were saying, was it 87% done on the code or something? Which is
Yeah, so
that's
they
wow.
were reporting a lot of it being done.
Yeah.
So I agree that one probably is, yeah, that one probably is on the way.
Yeah. Interesting story. Razbam style. Here's a render of a gear leg module announcement.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is a Razbam module.
Look what we've
Uh,
made. But
that's
yeah, when it
brilliant.
comes to Skyforge, the guys making this Jaguar, to quote Palpatine, I will be following your career with great interest.
Yes, young Skywalker. Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I will. I look. I don't want to sound really negative. I wish there was a lot more of this stuff for DCS,
Hmm.
and I think the modding, this user files feels like a little bit of a nod to that. I wonder if they've got in their sleeve, because I know how this marketing stuff works. Because I've worked in many companies before, you always keep a couple posts in your sleeve in case you have a quiet week. And I think the
Hmm.
user files was one. And
Oh
I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if another one is about modding. And I bet you they might do a little bit of a kind of mod kind of shout out to a couple mods. That would be nice. I think that'd be a nice thing for ED to do because there's some really talented people who've done some really cool things. Not to say the least, the F22 mod, the A4 mod,
Yes.
they're like the kind of gold standards. Then you've got things like the Black Hawk, which was one of the Polychop guys, now
Hmm.
former Polychop guys. You've got the Ace, the Loach is amazing. The A6, AH6 looks even better. That's really got my. If all the mods I'm most interested in, that little bird, AH6 little bird, has got my attention.
The
You
the
got that,
Loach is so much fun to fly. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the H6.
Oh, it's going to be great, and you're going to have miniguns and rockets and the APR-39 that hopefully will talk to you and all that kind of stuff.
We're all, of course, going to recreate scenes from Black Hawk Down with the little bird.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Super 6'4" and all that kind of stuff. Irene. We're all going to be taking off going, I say again, Irene, as we're all taking off in the little birds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be cool. And then there's the, again, we mentioned it earlier, the Cobra mod, which is sort of shaping up. But there's a lot of stuff out there, which is really cool. And then there's also things like, it's not as useful now with the root tool, but there's things like the Way and
Hmm.
Scratch Pad. There's also some really cool like mods to do with like I don't know, like there's some of the ground units as well, isn't there? There's obviously Masun did some stuff. There's another guy, I can't remember what his
Well,
name is now.
Masoon's stuff is integrated now.
Yeah,
It's
but
in the
there's
core game.
isn't there another guy who does loads of stuff? He does loads. He's put like the S400 in and stuff like that. It's really cool. I
Oh
can't remember what
yes,
his name is
yes,
now. He's an
yeah.
absolutely chock full of them, and even like boats and stuff. And I think he's even done some civilian things, like some trucks and lorries and things. Can't remember. Maybe chat will know. But yeah, Current Hill. That's it. Current Hill.
Yes, well
Someone just
done.
mentioned it. Channel right. Current Hill. Like that's the kind of things that ED should be shouting out. Because I think that's really cool. And yeah. I mean, the A4 is obviously, like you said earlier on, it's the gold standard, but it's some amazing work being done. And these guys are wizards. Like, you know,
Yes.
I was so I'll give you another example. There's a guy I really like called Dampy, and he streams, and he's got his own server. And he's just like he's like another one of these like just wizard people who are just really clever, and I just sort of look at what they
Wizard
do. And
people.
just, yeah, I feel like I'm Pippin and they're Gandalf. I'm just like fool of a took. I just don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he was doing this little. He just scripted this thing where if you fly with a tarps pod around an area on a server and then land, it tracks your flight path and then when you land, it gives you notes down clusters of units
Oh,
on the F10 map. And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm putting this together." He's just doing it in his spare time, and I was like,
that's
"This is
super
like,
cool.
yeah, he's just doing it himself. It's just like Lewis scripting, I think, and just bits and pieces." I was like, "Yeah," and he was explaining. He was like, "Hey, John, great to see you in the stream," and he was just showing me it all. I felt like I was like I was being given like a grand tour of like this tarp pod thing he was doing, but it was really really cool. He's actually got a use for the tarp pod, the
Is that
M14.
something that's been released?
No, I think it's just something he's doing. He's just
Wow.
done.
Well,
I mean, he
well.
should. I mean, it's amazing, you know.
Keep
And this
keep
is
us
just a guy who's
apprised of
just
that
got,
situation because I
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so cool, and there's so many people like that out there who are just crazy talented, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool.
Hmm. Traden, hi Deepak, welcome to the stream.
Mm,
Commander Hen Party cannot wait for the Cobra. Traden's asking what Razbam are doing right now with the M2D. Rewind about half an hour, and you'll get all of that.
yeah,
We already covered that one.
mm,
Yeah, and yeah, rumor has it Falcon 5.
mm,
Yes, Micropros are indeed working on Falcon 5, which would be super cool.
mm.
But moving on, we have this thing as well
Yeah,
with a fancy website. The Flight Sim Awards 2025.
mm,
This looks very, very cool. And there's going to be a bunch of different categories in which things are going to be nominated. And when is it that there was a date they said that things were going to be announced?
mm,
Friday, March 14th, the night
yeah,
before the FS weekend. And
yeah,
we've got categories for Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft, X-Plane aircraft, sceneries for Microsoft Flight Simulator, sceneries for X-Plane, best add-on for DCS, and
mm,
notable, it's between F4 Phantom, Cola Map, Kiowa Warrior, Chinook,
mm,
and Mirage F1 from Aegis.
mm,
These are all very, very nice add-ons. Then
mm,
tools, hardware. Notable that Verpal is missing.
yeah.
But anyway, freeware stuff. And special category content creators.
Wow.
Oh my.
I know who. I know one person that should be put in there.
Yeah.
Me. No,
Yeah, that
obviously
John
it's you,
Bloor
yeah.
guy. He's really good.
I should not be putting that. I will
Okay.
besmirch the awards.
So we need to click this vote now button, start voting, and then start clicking buttons. That's how
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do
yeah,
this. And I'm not going to
yeah,
give away what I'm going to vote for. Haha.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
But yes, that's very, very exciting. March 14th is when it's going to be announced. So jump on to flightsim-awards.com and
Mhm.
click the vote button and
Yeah,
cast your votes.
yeah.
I know I'll be doing that today. Cool. And that's pretty much everything we have for the news this week. Do you
Mm.
think we've missed anything, John?
I think that's everything. It's a bit of a quieter one, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, when ED are cracking out the user created files section of their website, you know there's not that much going on.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I shall take this opportunity, as I often do, to pimp the VAF. So the VAF, or the Virtual Air Force, is a virtual online squadron originally started by myself and Dot Chuckles many, many moons ago. We fly every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, normally at 6. No, wait, let me see, am I getting this wrong? 8 p.m. UK time. And yeah, we're based in kind of EU time zones, primarily UK. We currently have squadrons flying the Harrier, which is the one you want to fly, and the F-16 and the F-18. But yeah, we're always looking for pilots, but we're also looking for air traffic controllers, mission makers, livery makers, scripters, and so on. You can join by clicking on the Discord link below. Everybody is welcome, whether you fly with us or not. Great bunch of people to fly with, or even just talk aviation with. Like I said, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Come join the VAF. So yes, suitably pimped. Suitably pimped. Traden, Deepak, have you looked at the M2KC add-on in MSFS? No, I have a kind of general rule that I don't do military aircraft in MSFS because it kind of feels pointless because you can't do anything with them.
Mm.
And I know they're really cool and they're really nicely modeled and so on and so forth, but like, there's no destructibility. Like, what's the point? What's the
Mm.
point? Why am I going to fly around in an F-35 in MSFS when like my missiles don't do anything and I can't really use the radar? And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Why would I do this to myself? So I
I
fly
yeah,
airliners.
I feel like it's horses for courses a little bit, isn't it? And I think MSFS is definitely geared towards civil aviation. But
Yes,
I get that people do different bits and pieces. It's cool. I mean, Heatblur ported obviously the F-14 to it, and I thought that was really cool.
it is.
Um, yeah, it's nice to have those things. I guess like for MSFS, it's probably just nice to break it up. Probably if you're flying a lot of MSFS, then like to have a couple fighter jets that you can scream around in is probably a bit of fun. But if you're doing DCS on the main, it feels a bit
Yeah,
weird, doesn't it? You know,
yeah, I'd
kind of like
sooner just boot up DCS and do it for real.
yeah, it's like you're used to Waitrose, and someone's like, "Do you want to go in Audi?" And you're like, "Look, Audi's fine, but I got Waitrose. You know, I've got taste the difference."
Yep,
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
yeah.
So, I want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to Deepak's ground crew. If you want to further support me in the channel, you have the option of joining Deepak's ground crew by clicking the join button below this video. For a small monthly fee, you can support me in creating this kind of content. I really appreciate those of you who've already done so. Thank you very, very much. Channel Right, JR Walker, Fishy's Canal, Mr. Yeti, Sean IM81, John Bluer, Tea Kettle Barbecue, Whiskey Dale, Stuart McLean, Mangash, Exorcist, Frantic, Michael, Willow Wilson, Byron Farrow, Osprey, Snooblarin, Whoopaz, Martial, Pink Floyd, and Samantha. Thank you all very, very much for your support. And that's pretty much everything that we have for this week. He's been John Bluer. Go to twitch.tv/John Bluer and press the appropriate button on the Twitter interface.
The
Twitter?
free one. Don't spend too
Twitch.
much money. Yeah, Twitch, wherever it is. The sub. No,
Follow,
follow. Yeah,
follow,
follow.
do
Don't
all
hit
those
sub. They'll
things.
charge you. Just follow. That's fine.
Yep. Do you have
I
anything
re
to shout out that you're going to be doing soon?
Yeah, sure. I just hit 1,000 followers on Twitch not long ago, which is very nice. That was cool.
Well
Um,
done.
it just sort of it's funny. I got up to like 700, 800 in a relatively speedy time, and then it just sort of crunched to a halt. But it's kind of the way it is. I think you have to. The thing I've noticed with a lot of Twitch streamers is the ones that kind of get above that kind of point, they're usually producing a lot of content on YouTube as well. At the
Ah,
least, they're kind of
yes.
uploading VODs and doing shorts and stuff. Maybe that's something I'll look at in the future. But yeah, if you're just doing Twitch, it's difficult getting you kind of screech to a halt after that kind of point.
Mm.
But no, it's been good. I'll hopefully be on soon. I'm a little bit. I don't mind doing this stream, but I'm a little bit under the weather at the moment. So the idea of flying a complicated aircraft around whilst you're a little bit out not right quite with it is it doesn't always work that best way. I can see myself feeling a bit sick. So
Welcome to my
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Trying to fly a complicated aircraft while not completely with it. That's
yeah.
Deepak's tagline.
Yeah, he's like, well, I suffer this way, so you shouldn't have to. So here's a tutorial.
Exactly, exactly. It took me days to figure out where that switch was, and
Yeah.
so I'm going to tell you where it is.
Here's the.
Um,
You should do a video for a laugh on April Fools where you just go, "Here's the master arm," and you just do master arm, and that's it. It's like a 3-second video.
Definitely. And I'm Deepak. I normally create a tutorial video every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. UK time. I didn't this week, ran out of time, but I will get back onto it next week. And that's always followed by the DCS news, which just happens to be this thing, what you're watching right now. Thank you all very much for watching. Fly safe, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ta.